Correct. Your boy is using his towel Nitoryu.
Nitoryu.
I have 2 towels. Dos, zwei towel, okay? If you don't like it, deal with it or just get out! Get out!
Okay.
Get out! Get out! Because I love it, baby. I absolutely love it. That's number 1. Number 2 is that if you don't know, now you know, you can check out the full live stream reaction to 1048 on both my Twitch and my Cole Requiem channel. Links in the box below. Number 2. Number 3 is that if you don't know, your boy separates this chapter review into 3 major parts. 3 major parts. Number 1 is the pacing and the structure of the chapter. Number 2 is the character component of the chapter. And number 3 is the story component of the chapter as well. In those 3 parts. And for this chapter review, honestly, it's not gonna be that long because a lot of filler. It is what it is, okay? This man, Oda, pulled a Naruto Shippuden in manga. But there is something we can gander from the flashback, like one thing, I'd argue. But that being said, let's get right into it, boys, okay? So, the overall pacing and structure for this chapter. There are a total of 6 parts for this chapter. Number 1 is the skies above Wano Country, where Luffy and Kaido continues to fight. Number 2 is the base area with Usopp and Hamlet, with Kinemon and Kiku being washed away. Number 3 is the samurai rallying in some of the main floor. Number 4 is the flashback. Number 5 is the Orochi section where Orochi tries to attack Hiyori. And then number 6 is the skies above Wano once again. So the chapter is separated into those 6 overall locations. The overall pace in and of itself and structure, I think, is actually good. I think it's good in and of itself. Like the chapter itself. On a more fundamental level, for the entire arc itself, I got issues with Oda throwing in a flashback now, in the midst of this Luffy versus Kaido, what seemingly, I'm gonna say emphasis on seemingly is the final clash between these 2 major forces. And the vast majority of the flashback is lacking in any real, I'd argue, any real substantive, again, emphasis, substantive content. Because what can you really gather from the flashback that we don't already know? That's the main, I mean, I guess they use nooses. Okay, whoa. My skin color has me a little bit on edge when I see nooses.
First time.
Okay, fair enough. Outside of that, one thing I would argue, and that's it. Number 2 is character. Also, straightforward and simple. Number 1, Monkey Nickady Luffy. Now, Luffy has a new attack called the Bajrang Gun, okay? That could be a mispronunciation. I don't know. Your boy is an English speaker only, American through and through. So other languages, tough. So I'm going to say the Bajrang Gun, and both the Viz and the scans note to how it is called the Bajrang Gun. And according to the scans, it's in reference to Hanuman, the Hindu monkey god. And they also note how this could be in reference to Sun Wukong, because Sun Wukong is also potentially influenced by Hanuman. But as a result, you can also read the attack as not just Bajrang Gun, but particularly Monkey God Gun. Yes, Monkey God Gun, rather than Bajrang Gun. Sounds a lot cooler too. So this is Luffy's first true official Gear 5 specific attack. I'm putting so many stars, so many caveats there. Basically, things like the jump skip used against Kaido, or the Thunderbolt used against Kaido as well, they seem to be more so meme attacks that utilize outside factors like lightning bolts being in the area or a giant dragon to actually jump rope skip. This is the first genuine, I'll argue, Gear 5 attack, because throughout the entire battle so far, Luffy has been using minimal named attacks because he was thinking about how to name his attacks. And lo and behold, here we go with the Monkey God Gun action. And a very important note here about this attack is that, unlike in the last chapter, 1047, we see Luffy in this chapter actually sucking in his own fist into his arm like a Kong gun. So the Monkey God Gun is basically the island-sized version of the Kong gun. It only gets bigger and it only gets better. Because obviously, when you have a fist of that scale being sucked into Luffy's arm, that denotes to a lot of tension being stored in Luffy's arm for the attack. Therefore, way more force is implied for the attack that we get in the last chapter, where we don't see his fist being sucked into his own arm. Yes, that is a world of difference in power between a regular gigantic island-sized fist versus one that has actual tension behind it. That's, yeah. I'm telling you, even though the fist is the size of an island, the attack power and potency is far more than an island, without a doubt. Now, that's Luffy, and that's it, honest to God. Now, number 2 for character is going to be Yonko Kaido. And in this chapter, Kaido actually matches the monkey god gun. Oh, my god. Dude. When Kaido said, "I'll take the attack," my jaw, just watch my live reaction. Dog, that... Again, a lot of hype at the end of this chapter. The new state that Kaido has is called the Flame Dragon Torch state. An insanely huge and insanely hot dragon form that overlays his original dragon form. Basically, it's a giant Susanoo, like a mega class Susanoo. And the fire to actually make this form comes from Kaido's own mouth. And the fire seems to change somewhat when Kaido is actually spewing the fire from his own mouth. Now, some folks want to say it's magma, which could be the case, but the problem is that we've never ever seen Kaido actually spew out magma before, ever, number 1. And then number 2 is that it's not liquid. What it seems to be is kind of like a condensed version of his fire that is condensed and sustained around his whole body, like a protected and projected armor, since it burns and melts anything that touches it, including Luffy. And we know for a fact in the past, in this fight, Luffy has gotten burned several times by Kaido, and this, again, seems to be the Susanoo armored wrapped version of that. And it's so hot to where him just grazing one of the horns, he melts the horns, just like that. Kaido's design within this form also seems to change a little bit, where his scales that are normally blue seem to be irradiating this intense glow and are probably changing color, which I'm theorizing is probably red, like a crimson, deep, dark, menacing red. And the last thing I would theorize here is that the way he's able to actually sustain this form is probably through the flame clouds. So the number 2 for character for Kaido is going to be his new attack, the Rising Dragon Flame Bagua. And this attack can match the Bajrang, the monkey god gun. This is the only Bagua attack so far that Kaido has done without his club. So that is it for character when it comes to Kaido. And then the last person for character is going to be Shimotsuki Ushimaru. I'm not trolling you, because we get to finally see his face without the bandages before Kaido messed him up. And that's character. That is character for the entire chapter. And then finally, we have, for this chapter review, the story component for this chapter. Number 1, cover story. Confirmed by Brule, it seems that the silhouettes who we see in the cover story of 1046 are Ichiji and Reiju. Not the Blackbeard Pirates, which, yes, that would have been insane. But for a cover story? Huh? No, it's Reiju and Ichiji. And we also see Cracker. And Cracker is also bandaged up still after what happened in Whole Cake Island with Luffy. Number 2 for story is that both Luffy and Kaido seem to be displaying their finishers. Number 3, Denjiro! Hey, Milk Carton Man! The Amber Alert paid off. After almost 40 chapters MIA, since chapter 1009, Denjiro was gone. And the man just pops back up to save the day like he was Saitama. the hero always comes last to save the damsel, and lo and behold, he came in there to save Hiri from Orochi. And also, on a side note, it would be kind of funny too if Denjiro is kind of like Zoro, where he has a very poor sense of direction and just stumbles across his moment at the right time. That'd be some interesting point if Denjiro and Zoro both had pretty bad sense of direction. And then finally, the last component of the story is Orochi. Is Orochi dead? At this point in time, the safe assumption would be no, because Oda rarely kills off dudes. It is what it is. However, this is Orochi's last head, at least as far as we know, because 8 of his heads have been decapitated thus far. 1 by Kaido, 6 in chapter 1009, now with Denjiro, that is the 8th head. So the assumption is that he's dead, but the safe side, knowing how Oda writes the story, is he's probably not dead. And that's it. That is literally it for this chapter review, for the story, for the character, and for the pacing and the structure of the chapter. Overall thoughts. Number 1, I think that a lot of folks, rightfully so, would criticize Oda for not having Hiri kill Orochi, and Denjiro does it. Even though in the past there were plot points established by Oda where it was Zoro who was the one listening to Hiri's wishes about taking out Orochi. But the thing here is that after the nail and watching Orochi just burn alive, she seemed to have really no other recourse, like zero. No knife, no gun, nothing. Just watch him burn, which is kind of savage, but then it fails miserably when the sea stone nail is removed. And the thing here is that in a lot of arcs in One Piece, the main damsel in distress of the arc tends to be saved and / or redeemable, meaning that a lot of times there's this kind of like Disney princess role that Oda plays with all these girls. Like let's say Shirahoshi, of course, or Pudding, or Rebecca, or even Viola, or again, this arc, Hiri, where a lot of the girls of the arc tend to be redeemable in some way if they commit any wrongs, and if they need saving, they're gonna get saved, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I think there is a sort of purity aspect that Oda has in mind for a lot of these girls, so them committing atrocity. So Hiri killing Orochi would be too much of a heinous thing to do to kind of soil her hands. It's weird, but you see it time and time again in One Piece, especially after the time skip. Yeah, for sure. So I'm not surprised, but I think folks could rightfully so say that was a miss on Oda's part. And then when it comes to Kaido, Kaido steals the show in this chapter. Like, Kaido was amazing. And I think his new state, the Flame Dragon Torch state, might have been the main inspiration for King the Wildfire's Imperial Flaming Wing attack that we see in 1035. So overall, this chapter rating, even though the beginning of the chapter was so much hype, and it was so intense, and your heart is racing 1,000,000 miles an hour, we are cruising through the universe faster than the speed of light. We go to a snail's crawl, just like that, because we go into a flashback, and we cut away from the greatness. And the flashback, honest to God, as far as I can tell, there's nothing really new of substance here. We know what happens in a general sense after Odin is killed, and so on and so forth. And this flashback just Halo 3 montages the entire thing. No. Oda could have easily exterminated the entire thing from this chapter because it feels like filler. Nothing in the story of One Piece changes outside of Ushimaru's face if this flashback is removed from the story. That's how of little value this flashback is. It is what it is. So this chapter is, unfortunately, I would say, a 6.5 out of 10. It's okay plus. It's not a bad chapter, but it could have easily have been an 8. Easily. But again, Oda just sucked the wind out of our sails in a big way. And I think it's because, ultimately speaking, he may want to end this chapter on 1050, on a nice round number. That's my guess here. And also, that would probably mean that this new form of Kaido's is Kaido's final form. And if he has red scales, like the Dragon Ball GT Shenron, woo! That is gonna look very damn dope when the anime gets to it.